Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Hey, folks, today is Friday, August 8th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network from Cleveland, where I'm attending the 50th anniversary convention of the National Association of Black Journalists. We'll have the election results. Who is our new president? Who is our new vice president digital? Well, yours truly. We'll show you what Erin Haynes had to say in her speech as president-elect of NABJ. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott is trying to pit blacks and Hispanics against each other, and they continue to fail as Democrats hold out, keeping the House from having a quorum to vote on the racist gerrymandered maps. So we will be talking about to the vice chair of the Redistricting Select Committee about this process. White Republicans in Alabama, they won't give up. A federal court still rules against them with the creation of a second black district in Alabama. Plus, the Department of Justice, Trump's Department of Justice, they are targeting New York Attorney General Letitia James, as well as Senator Adam Schiff claiming mortgage fraud. We see what that's all about. Lots to break down. Plus, I got something to say about Auburn coach Bruce Pearl with his racist comments about President Barack Obama. If you are a black parent, there's no way in hell you should send your kid to play basketball at Auburn University. Folks, it's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling.
Well, Republicans in Texas still are mad as hell that House Democrats are holding out, preventing them from passing these racist gerrymandered maps. The Speaker of the House of Texas claims that he now says that if the Democrats, if they want to pick up their $750 monthly paycheck, no more direct deposit, they must do it in person. Oh, really? Is that what we're now doing? They're still whining and complaining. And so check out the new move by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. He now wants to say, oh, no, these aren't racist maps because they're going to be helping Latinos get elected in Texas. Play it.
So most people know that at the beginning of a decade, all states go through the redistricting process based upon what the new census shows. Since that redistricting process took place, two things have changed. One is the law, the other is the facts. The legal change was actually catalyzed by the Democrats. Democrats filed a lawsuit in 2022 that was decided last year, where courts decided that Texas is no longer required to have what are called coalition districts. And as a result, we're able to take the people who are in those coalition districts and make sure they're going to be in districts that really represent the voting preference of those people who live here in Texas. And then the fact that's changed, we saw in the aftermath of the Trump election that an overwhelming number of Hispanics and blacks, as well as others, chose to vote for Trump. 4 of the 5 districts that we're going to create are predominantly Hispanic districts. Right. They're going to have to be voting for Republican as opposed to Democrats. Democrats think they have an ownership right to voters who are Hispanic or black. They're now learning the hard way. Those voters are supporting Republicans.
Boy, he's lying. Jon Rosenthal, he is the Texas House Representative's vice chair of the Redistricting Select Committee. He joins us right now from Illinois with the other House Dems. So, John, glad to have you on the show. First of all, I'm sorry I'm late. Of course, I had an election here with the National Association of Black Journalists, so I kind of had to say a few words there. So that's why I'm a bit late. So I'm going to start with you. I got a couple of guests, but I'm going to start with you, John, first. John, here's why I'm offended. In the last two censuses, when you look at the population increase in Texas, it was Latino and black. What Republicans did was they created more Republican districts and they went for Hispanics. Now, all of a sudden, they want to take out 2 black members and say, oh, no, these are not racist maps because we're creating seats for Latinos. Does Abbott really think we're that stupid? John? Can he hear me? Y'all can, guys, talk to me.
Hey, I can take that one if you'd like, Roland.
Okay, go ahead.
So, hey, I'm Rafael Anchia. I'm the past chair of the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus. It's good to be with you. And an SMU Mustang. I know you're an Aggie. I wanted to I just wanted to underscore what you said. Look, 95% of all the population growth during the last census in Texas was driven by people of color. 50% of that growth was from Latinos. So he says the facts on the ground have changed. They, in fact, have not. Since the beginning of the decade, when they first did redistricting, Latinos had accounted for 50% of all the growth in the state, and African Americans for about 25%, or almost 30%, and then Asians for the remainder. So those facts are the only facts that matter when you're talking about the census and you're talking about redistricting. It doesn't matter how people are voting. That also is a falsehood, and you're correct about that, because a majority of Latinos in Texas still voted for Democrats, not Republicans. He said it was overwhelming. That's not true. Trump did not get over 50% of the Latino vote in the state of Texas. That's also a lie. And finally, what he's saying is that, hey, Latinos are going to get elected in these districts. We did a study at the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus, okay? And if you had actual districts that were reflective of Texas's diverse population, you'd have about 15 seats that were majority Hispanic, where Latinos would elect the candidates of their choice. You'd have 5 seats where African Americans would be able to elect a candidate of their choice, or about 13%. And you'd have 2 seats where Asians would be able to elect a candidate of their choice, and 15 out of the 38 would be determined by Anglos. Doesn't matter. Republican and Democrat does not matter when you're talking about apportionment, because what is protected is not the party, but the voter. However, under the racially engineered districts proposed by the Republicans, 26 seats, almost double that number, would be determined by Anglo voters. About half the seats, half of that 15 seats, or 8, would be determined by Latino voters. Only 2 seats would be determined by African Americans, and 0 by Asians. So it's just a lie, really, that we're pitting Latinos and African Americans. It's not true. Latinos and African Americans are here. We're here during the quorum break fighting together. The Latino caucus, the Black caucus, we are together, right? Because we see through that rhetoric, and when you actually put pen to paper and look at the numbers, our the voting strength of Latinos and African Americans is being diminished, including in historic African American districts. They're trying to take out Al Green. They're trying to take out Mark Vesey, districts that have historically either been coalitions of African Americans and Latinos voting together, which were created by courts, by the way, or traditional African American districts. One last point about this. Why are they doing this? Why do they want, Donald Trump called Greg Abbott and said, hey, get me 5 districts. I don't care how you do it. If you need to run over Latinos and African Americans, do it. And Greg Abbott said, aye, comandante, right? And why are they doing that? It's because they don't want to release the Epstein files, because they don't want accountability, because they don't want Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker of the House with a gavel and subpoena power to expose the corruption and crimes and incompetence of the Trump administration. That's why they want to do this. And they want to do it on the backs of Latinos and African Americans.
Representative Rosenthal, can you hear me?
Hey, John, can you hear?
I can't hear him. I can
John,
hear you, but I can't hear Roland. I can't hear anything.
Okay. So the control room, I need y'all to get that fixed to figure out why John can't hear me. So if y'all could work on that, I'm going to as Representative answer another question. And so this is the other thing that I think where they think people are stupid. You don't change the map because of how folks voted in the presidential race. These are congressional races. They are districts that are 700 to 800,000 people. The results of a presidential election, that means nothing when you talk about how you draw maps.
Look, and I'll take it one step further, Roland. In 2021, when they did redistricting, they were like, oh, we did it race blind, even though they reduced even then Latino and African-American voting strength. And there's a pending lawsuit, right? And again, parties are not protected here. It is voters that are protected here. So everything that Abbott was talking about with Democrats and Republicans doesn't matter one bit. So we filed the lawsuit. That lawsuit is pending. Now they want to pretend that the law has somehow changed. And then mid-decade, they want to they want to do this redistricting. We've reached out to blue state governors and we said, hey, this is anti-democratic. I mean, this is really, really bad stuff. We sounded the alarm nationally, and thankfully, people like J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom, Kathy Hochul, and others have said, hey, if Texas does it, we're going to do it. What did that do? It caused blue state Republicans to say, whoa, this is a bad idea. I'm about to get redistricted out of my seat. This is a really, really bad idea. And they filed a bill at the federal level saying that we shouldn't have mid-decade redistricting because they're all going to be wiped out. That's the big problem here. And it's a race to the bottom. And ultimately, the people who are going to suffer are African-American and Latino voters in Texas.
Yeah, and again, they're trying. What they're doing is it's a new one every day. Oh no, we're doing this because the DOJ sent us a letter saying that the districts are unconstitutional. Oh no, we're doing that now because it's a power grab. Oh no, now we're creating districts for Hispanics. They're constantly searching for another rationale for what they're doing, and this is what we know: Trump and the Republican Party of Texas, Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick, they do not give a damn about black voters. They do not give a damn about Latino voters. They only care about MAGA voters, and that's not how this process is supposed to be. So I have consistently said over and over and over again, Democrats, damn being fair, damn being nice, where you have advantage, you've got to maximize it. Now Abbott is saying, oh no, because the Democrats are holding out, we're going to redraw 8 districts. So we see what they're all about.
Yeah, the doubling down by Greg Abbott is really interesting. The Attorney General and Greg Abbott, when he signed the redistricting bill, said, "Hey, everything's fine. This is great. We're done with redistricting." But the minute Donald Trump called and asked for the 5 districts, he was going to get them for Donald Trump come hell or high water. And the big contrast, by the way, and I'm not, I don't think it's fair to the governor of Georgia. But when Donald Trump called the governor of Georgia and said, find me 11,000 votes to overturn the election,
right?
He said no. But when he calls Greg Abbott, when Trump calls Greg Abbott and asks for 5 seats to rig the election on the backs of Latinos and African Americans, he says right away. Now, because he really admires autocrats, he's threatening to remove us from our seats for doing this. And I was on a Spanish language TV station, and I said, it's commonplace for members of the executive to remove members of the legislative. That happens all the time. But it happens in Venezuela and Cuba and not in America, right? Because we have separation of powers and our institutions hopefully still work. And so what he's trying to eliminate African-American legislators and declare their seats vacant, Latino members, Asian members, members of the Senate told our Democratic leader who is of Chinese descent to go back to China just recently. So let's not pretend that this is about anything than what we know it's about, Yep,
that's exactly what it is. So listen, it's the long haul. I really, really hope The 51 House Democrats stand firm. And I keep telling people, listen, y'all are going to have to literally hold out for anywhere from 4 to 6 months because they could always try to change the primary date. They can do all sorts of different things because they want to cheat. They need to cheat to win. We see what the numbers are looking at, the impacts of these tariffs. We see how prices are going up. They are scared to death. There are 35 vulnerable House Republicans. They are scared to death that they're going to lose anywhere from 10 to 20 House seats next year. And so they are trying to rig the map to guarantee they hold onto power. It's as simple as that. That's what Donald Trump and the Republicans are trying to do.
Now, Roland, you know we're a citizen legislature, and we have jobs and families back home. We set some pretty clear goals when we started this quorum break. The first one was that we were going to try, and it was going to be very hard because of the frenetic Trump media cycle, to capture the American imagination on redistricting. We wanted people to be talking about redistricting in barbershops, on street corners, and on shows just like this, just like you're doing, to try to raise consciousness. I think we've done that, and I'm really pleasantly surprised because this little band of Texas state representatives was able to help elevate the conversation. The second thing we wanted to do is work with blue state governors to get them ready. Because if we had just let them run over us on the House floor, this would have been a 2-day media cycle, and it would have been over. Like, nobody would have paid attention to Texas. It would be like, Texas Democrats lose, okay. So that's why we couldn't let that happen. We wanted to make sure that we were protecting our African American and Latino constituents by working with blue state governors to show some pushback, right? That's super important. It was super important to us. And finally, we said we were going to run out the clock on this special session. Now, the governor's right. He can call special session after special session after special session. So our goal was to give the blue states some time to catch up, to activate their plans for redistricting. But at some point, we're going to have to go back and fight this on the House floor, and we're going to have to fight it in the courts, especially since there's some clear violations of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And that's kind of our strategy. So if we can tick the box and say, national conversation, blue state strategy to counteract the 5 from Texas, and we understand that we have a delegation in California today meeting with Governor Newsom. They're ready to roll. And we run out the clock on this special session, we will have succeeded, and the rest is up to blue state governors that have the trifecta of the House, the Senate, and the governorship to really counteract this stuff. The last thing I want to mention, because and I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues, and the full force of Texas state government and the federal government, now including the FBI, has been thrown against us. They're trying to fine us, remove us from our seats, and arrest us. And that may happen. What I told my colleagues is, it is usually the people getting arrested that are on the right side of history, right? And we have been able to see that throughout America's history on civil rights, on voting rights. And we really do feel we're on the right side of history here, and hope to be that fight that Democrats have been lacking for the last 2 years. And it's high time that everybody take responsibility for preserving this democracy.
Absolutely. Representative Antia, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I hate we couldn't get Representative Rosenthal's audio, but we'll try to get him back on the show on Monday or Tuesday next week. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Control room, if y'all are telling me California Governor Gavin Newsom is live, let's go live to his news conference.
Well, let me thank everybody for taking the time to be here, and let me welcome all of you to Governor Ronald Reagan's home. Reminded of Governor Reagan's last speech in the Oval Office, where he talked about the life force of new Americans. He talked about Lady Liberty's torch. And here we are, fast forward decades later, appropriately with a portrait of Ronald Reagan looking down on the President of the United States, of America, Donald Trump, who's trying to light a torch on democracy. He's trying to roll back the last half century. He wants to put America in reverse on LGBT rights, on voting rights, civil rights, on the rights of women and girls. We're here in that light at this profound and consequential moment. And we're here with 6 courageous leaders, as they've been described, from the Texas delegation. It is my privilege to have had now 2 delegations visit from Texas. And it's my honor to welcome all of you and to thank you for your courage. Thank you for faith and devotion to the cause that unites all of us across this country, regardless of party. And that are the enduring principles of our founding fathers. You know, we talked about the 249th anniversary of those principles. Next year, we'll celebrate the 250th anniversary of those enduring principles, the best of the Roman Republic and Greek democracy, a system of co-equal branches of government. This notion of a system of checks and balances, popular sovereignty, all of that on the line, all of that at risk. And so I'm very sober and mindful of this moment. And as a consequence, we have taken our relationship to this moment very, very seriously. Had it not been for the courage of the Democratic representatives from Texas to stand tall and to stand up, to walk out, as is their right, as old a principle as American pie, the ability for a minority to walk out when it comes to the abuses of a majority. And they did just that to elevate not just their voices as representatives, but to elevate our voices, to call out the consequential nature of what's happening. What's happening in the United States of America is not normal. We cannot allow this to be considered normal. Please don't say it's surprising. When you say something is no longer surprising, you normalize it. This is shocking, what's happened. You heard Representative Johnson say it very powerfully and very clearly. And what more evidence did you need? You saw this take shape after Donald Trump tried to wreck the democracy after January 6th, where he dialed for 12,000 votes in Georgia. By a courageous leadership, regardless of party, that stood up against that tyranny. Now he's dialing up for seats. He called Greg Abbott, who doesn't have the courage, doesn't have the backbone, doesn't have the consciousness of the consequences of his action. And he has rolled over and he said, yes, sir, and they're trying to dial now for new seats for precisely the reason that Speaker Pelosi and others have represented. They will lose in the midterms. He knows it. Why else would he make that phone call? His agenda's failing. This presidency is failing. He knows the headwinds in a midterm. He's dialing for seats. Not only did he dial for 5 seats in Texas, he just sent his vice president, the vice president of the United States, not to console those 137 families whose lives were torn asunder because they lost loved ones to the floods. By the way, 3 members of my community in Marin County, Mark and Sarah and Johnny Walker, 14 years old, died in the flood. Mark, 50 years old. Sarah, same age. Family, friends. We were at their memorial yesterday. Vice President come to console the family members of the lives lost. He went to Indiana to continue to try to rig the election. You have a special election in Texas. You'd think that's all they'd be focused on. 37 kids dying in those floods. But they're focused on this, a power grab. And it's not limited to Texas and Indiana. You've seen what's happening in Florida. You've seen what's happening in Ohio and other states. So we have got to step up. Our state of mind is about accountability, responsibility. Again, taking this moment seriously. What is our relationship to this moment? And we recognize we have agency. We're not bystanders. That we can shape the future. Decisions, not conditions. And so we choose to be held to a higher level of accountability. It wasn't our decision to be here. It's reaction to. We are trying to defend democracy as opposed to see it destroyed district by district. And we will stand firm and we will stand tall. And perhaps the expression today is the expression of unity. That's what we're trying to communicate. You have congressional representatives here, the leader of our congressional delegation. They are unanimous in their support of moving in this direction. You have the Speaker and the Pro Tem, and they strong support of their caucuses. And leaders of critical committees and caucus are here to express support. We are moving forward. Make no mistake. California is moving forward as a state that's larger than 21 state populations combined. We are not a small, isolated state. State larger than 21 populations combined. We tried to play by a higher set of standards and rules with our independent redistricting, and we believe in that. And we are not talking about eliminating that commission. We are talking about emergency measures to respond to what's happening in Texas, and we will nullify what happens in Texas. We will pick up 5 seats with the consent of the people, and that's the difference between the approach we're taking and the approach they're taking. We're doing it on a temporary basis. We're doing it in a fully transparent way, and we're doing it by asking the people of the state of California for their consent and support. Mark that stark contrast to what's happening in Texas and other states. We are resolved and we are aligned in this strategy. And I'm deeply, in closing, grateful for the leadership that's assembled here today. In unprecedented time, required an unprecedented approach, an unprecedented leadership to build the kind of consensus that we believe we have. We have till August 22nd. With the leadership behind me, they will get this on the ballot. We're calling for a special election. That'll be the first week of November. It will coincide with many other municipal elections. We will raise an unprecedented amount of attention, and we will garner an unprecedented amount of support because people understand what's at stake. Final words. Because I want to reinforce what the Speaker and the Pro Tem said. You have people disappearing in the state of California, quite literally disappearing. Warrantless search, people literally being taken from the streets. I don't think this, I know it. 16-year-old kid whose mom and dad working 20 years at the same packing facility, 16-year-old didn't even know how to get back into his own home because mom and dad disappeared going to work. Young child had no brothers and sisters. That's Trump's America. That's happening as we speak. The Guard has been federalized. And by the way, Donald Trump is continuing to federalize the National Guard through the election. Pause and consider what that may mean. There is nothing normal about this. Nothing normal about this. Conditioning aid, let me make this clear in front of the Texas delegation. I am proud, and thank you to Isaac Bryan, $83.1 billion more we provided the federal government in federal taxes than we received. Texas, for whatever reason, for success and how Texas does punch above its weight, received $71.1 billion more from the federal government they received. But I'll tell you what, as a taxpayer, as governor of California, I am proud to stand tall to help them recover from these floods. No conditions, no politics. We're all in this together. I was proud to send search and rescue teams to support the recovery of those floods. That's my responsibility. That's what it's like to be a member of a community. We're all in this together. The idea that we're even conditioning aid and allowing that conversation to persist, that's what's at stake with this conversation. It's not about lines, it's about drawing a line, and it's all about elevating a deeper consciousness of the line that Donald Trump continues to cross. It's not about him playing by a different set of rules. There are no rules for Donald Trump. This is a serious moment in American history. And so we are here to meet this moment head on. And we look forward to a successful campaign, and we look forward to continuing to do what we can to have the backs of these courageous leaders who are back here in the state of California, sharing their voice as we share their action and passion at peril that this democracy may not live. With that, we're here to answer any questions.
Are you taking any actions to fight?
Yeah, we'll sue. I mean, this is a separate topic, but it's not necessarily disconnected from this topic. Donald Trump today is trying to silence academic freedom. He's attacking one of the most important public institutions in the United States of America, one of the finest institutions of higher learning in the world, one of the great research institutions in this country, one of the reasons California is the tentpole of the U.S. economy, one of the reasons we have more scientists, engineers, more Nobel laureates than any other state in this nation. He has threatened us through extortion with $1 billion fine unless we do his bidding. So as long as I'm governor, I will stand tall and push back against that, and I believe every member.
Folks, that was California Governor Gavin Newsom standing with 6 members of the Texas House. Now, understand what this battle has meant. Now it also is in Alabama, where a federal court has ruled that Alabama's congressional map actually violates the Voting Rights Act by not giving black voters a fair shot to elect candidates of their choice. The judges said the state's new map ignored court orders and still lacked a required second black majority district, which the legislature actually admitted. Now Alabama must use a map that's been drawn by an independent expert for the rest of the decade that will ensure 2 districts where black voters have real influence. The decision follows an appeal by state officials to the Supreme Court. But for now, the new map stands, reshaping Alabama's political landscape. Joining us right now to talk about this decision, again, this ties directly to what's happening in Texas, is Kadita Stone, a plaintiff in the Allen versus Milligan case. That's what this is based off of. And Kadita, listen, these white Republicans, they don't want to see black folks represented in Alabama. They fought, the same white Republicans fought the 2nd district in Louisiana. These are the same white Republicans who are fighting in Texas. Look, I'm not going to dance around this. This is white conservative Republicans wanting to deny political opportunities to black people.
Yeah, absolutely. First, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. I do agree with you. This is a form of white supremacy at its best. There's really no reason, when the data shows that there's enough black people to draw a district, why not give it to them? So it was a victory in a way, because the court did agree with us and say that this map that is going to be put forth has to be put forth until 2030. But we're going to see, because in good old Alabama fashion, they appealed again. And so this is our 5th time constantly going back and forth to court, even with the Supreme Court ruling in our favor the very first time, as well as the lower courts. But it is definitely a disservice to black Alabamians.
Yeah, and I just need people to understand that that this is, see, people want to dance around this. Oh, well, I don't want to call it white supremacy. I don't want to call it white nationalism. I don't want to call it any of that. But that's what it is. They do not care about black people. They do not care. They want to subjugate black people to white, conservative, Republican rule for forever in Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And you brought up Texas, and I and my heart is with the lawmakers in Texas, but I truly do believe that they are doing what they're supposed to do, what their constituents, elected them to do, which is to protect them, fight for them, be a voice for them. And by the looks of it, I can see that Texans showed up all across the state with those redistricting hearings. But the root of it is white supremacy, like you said.
And see what, and listen, although this federal court has ruled this, what do we have happening right now? The Republicans, these white Republicans, lost the case in Louisiana that went to the Supreme Court. Now they're trying to go back to the Supreme Court. They're going to hear the arguments again, because now they want to actually try to attack racial districts that could wipe out anywhere from 25 to 30 members of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very disheartening. We are in a very unique time in history, and I do believe that it is time for people to wake up and pay attention and organize in their communities, talk to each other about how these systems work, because as we all know, these systems were not created for us, but we do have a role to play by showing up and making our voices heard and organizing around the things that we want to change.
I have been saying this, and you talk about waking up. I have been saying to black people, I don't know how in the hell anybody black can sit out any election. We see what these people are doing. They're not playing games. They want to cement white power for the next 50 to 100 years. What do you say to black folks who continually play games and say, oh, Roland, you're trying to scare us. It's not that bad. It's not going to be that bad.
You know, what do I say to them? They need to read a book. They need to pick up a book and read. They need to know their history, because history is literally repeating itself. I would say that is all that they can do, really, is educate themselves on these issues and go to a museum in your area. If there's a museum that's telling you the history, if you don't like to read, okay, go to a museum and look at an exhibit. But we're just not in a time to be complicit, you know, and being silent and choosing to not, you know, put yourself in this, or choosing to not educate yourself, is complicity at its finest. And you are choosing for this, you know, for this to be the reality when, you know, it doesn't have to be.
Yep. Indeed. Kanita, we surely appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, we're going to keep, of course, pushing this issue. Let me go to my panel right now. I want to bring them into this because, again, folks, we have to face the fierce urgency of now to understand exactly what's going on because, look, these are not games to be played because they are playing for keeps. Michael Imhotep, host African History Network show out of Detroit. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney out of Corpus Christi. Raven Schwam Curtis, content creator and keynote speaker out of Chicago. Matt, I want to start with you. You're there in Corpus Christi. Listen, they're trying to play these cute little games, Matt, wanting to pit Latinos against African Americans. Listen, folk, don't fall for the okie doke. These white Republicans don't give a damn. They have been screwing over Latino voters, and now they're trying to play the opportunist game. Nah, don't fall for the okie doke.
Yeah, and we know that Texas demographics don't support that. We know that the majority of Texans probably don't even want Republicans. I mean, I think they're looking at the changes that may have occurred in the Valley in the last elections as it relates to Republicans winning a lot. But I don't believe that the data that Abbott is saying is supporting the way they're redrawing these maps is really supported. And you heard that from Rep. Anchia. And one thing I really wanted to say is on this show, I often talk about political pageantry, but Gavin Newsom just had one of the best presidential stump speeches I've seen in a while in his audition for president. And I think a lot of that is the undercurrent of this. Not only Gavin Newsom, but also Greg Abbott. They're both, angling for 1600 Pennsylvania in the next election. And I think some of this is an outcropping of that. But I think that was very smart the way he not only promoted those Texas Democrats who have done their job, in my opinion, and broken with the quorum, but took that opportunity to really not only align himself with the second largest state, being in the largest state in the country, but to call out Donald Trump directly and to take that tension and say, we're calling you out. I think that's very smart to do that. And I think you've spoken about the benefit of doing that kind of thing when you go to Mike Johnson's district, for instance. I think that's very smart the way they're playing that. But I think the bigger thing about all of this is Texans don't want this. And one more point to that. Look at John Cornyn. He's scared he's going to lose to Ken Paxton, right? So that's why John Cornyn is calling for the FBI to find Texas Democrats somewhere else in the country and bring them back. It's all political pageantry, and it's all to do Donald Trump's bidding, and it's all to retain their power here in Texas, even though the demographics don't support it and the people don't want it.
Absolutely. And Raven, they're pissed off that Democrats are there in your state of Illinois saying, oh, that's one of the most gerrymandered states. And here's the whole deal. Republicans, you gerrymandered, so you're mad that Democrats are gerrymandering. And what Gavin Newsom is doing, what Pritzker, Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois has been saying, and then, of course, you may see it in Virginia, in Maryland, in New York State. It's like, yo, we're not going to sit here and handcuff ourselves while you bash us over the head with a bat. We're going to grab a bat ourselves and bash you over the head and gerrymander the hell out of our states. If you want to play fair, let's play fair. And let's remember, Raven, when a bill came up in Congress to make it illegal, to have gerrymandering across the country, every Republican voted against, all Democrats voted for. The Democrats said, let's get rid of gerrymandering. Not one Republican voted for that bill. That tells you exactly where they stand. And everything they say right now is horse shit.
Yeah, Roland, I mean, I think you're really spot on. And kind of as Gavin Newsom was speaking, I thought it was really interesting that he mentioned the terminology of temporary gerrymandering. And I think that underlines the point that you're making, that in so many ways, when Democrats gerrymander, it's in response to the abuse of power being proliferated by Republicans. I also don't think all gerrymandering is made the same, right? When Republicans gerrymander, it's to further sideline historically disenfranchised communities. When Democrats gerrymander, it's to give voice to historically disenfranchised communities. So these types of gerrymandering are absolutely not made the same. I also really, really like what he said about it being as American as apple pie for a minority to stand up and protest, right, against a majority that is very blatantly abusing their positionality and their stance, in a congressional sort of standing. And I think this is really important to name. This has been a huge inflection point of watching Texas Democrats give that knuck if you buck energy. Like I'm so here for it. And especially as a young person involved in politics, what I'm hearing from my peers over and over again is that folks are hungry for that, right? Don't just lay down and take it. Like let's fight back. Show me that energy. And I think it's really incredible that that's what we're seeing from our electeds right now. I spent a big portion of my childhood in Houston, Texas. Texas is the first place that I voted in 2016 when I was eligible to vote. And it's dope to be in Illinois now and to be seeing my governor really stand 10 toes down, in line with these Texas Democrats. Super important.
Yep, indeed. Folks, hold tight. I want to go to Michael here. Michael, again, I don't think people understand how serious this is. We were signaling that when it came to Project 2025. We know what their game plan is. Republicans are scared to death. We are seeing prices going up. Donald Trump is freaking out. We saw he was lying the other day in the Oval Office with these fake job numbers because they know they're going to get their asses kicked when you keep getting bad news for the next 12 months. And so they're trying to get ahead of this, and Democrats must be constantly on the attack every single day.
Absolutely have to be on the attack every single day. But as Governor Greg Abbott increases the pressure and as State Attorney General of Texas Ken Paxton increased the pressure, we saw today that the Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows in Texas, in addition to announcing that they were going to that the House members have to show up to pick up their $750 stipend check, but also they were going to take away 30% of the monthly budget of each member's office as well, which impacts their staff. So Democrats are going to have to fight back economically also. Okay, and it's going to, because the pressure is increasing on Democrats, but the pressure is not increasing on Republicans. They're in Texas. So I think what they're going to have to look at doing is also having targeted, sustained, strategic economic withdrawal strategies of certain corporations that help finance these Republicans in the Texas state legislature. Okay, and then have nationwide economic boycotts targeting those corporations to push back and put pressure on those Republicans also. But this is predicted and rolling. This is the same week as the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, August 6, 1965. And you talk about the map in Alabama. We know Alabama was ground zero for the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And people have to connect the dots because, yes, we talked about Project 2025. This is a power grab, a white nationalist power grab that's taking place. But the reason why you needed the 1965 Voting Rights Act is because of what happened in Mississippi in 1890. The Mississippi State Convention, where they rewrote the state constitution to impose poll taxes, literacy tests, but also a lifetime felony disenfranchisement law. So if you got convicted of a felony, you lost your right to vote for life. That felony disenfranchisement law is still law in Mississippi to this day in 2025 that went into effect in 1890. All of that was specifically targeting African-American men who were voting. So we have to connect that history to what's going on today. It was white nationalism and white supremacy in 1890. It's the same thing right now. We have to continue to fight back, but fight to win.
Indeed. Hold tight 1 second. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to cover the stories that matter. If you want to contribute to our show, use Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. You can use the same QR code for credit cards. If you want to send a check or money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send it to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037 7-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Diaspora wars. The internet has been swarmed. Who has a right to blackness and black culture? Who is overrepresented, underrepresented? It's too much. It's making us dizzy.
We don't have to be prideful without this air of superiority, right? All stories matter within this black sphere that we exist in.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. The United States is the most dangerous place for a woman to give birth among all industrialized nations on the planet. Think about that for a second. That's not all. Black women are 3 times more likely to die in this country during childbirth than white women.
These healthcare systems are inherently racist. There are a lot of white supremacist ideas and mythologies around black women's bodies, even black people, that we experience painless, right?
Activist, organizer, and fearless freedom fighter Monifa Akinwole Bandele from Moms Rising joins us and tells us this shocking phenomenon, like so much else, is rooted in unadulterated racism. And that's just one of her fights. Monifa Bandele on the next Black Table here on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint. Hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood show and the Roland Martin show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
Well, we know this administration is all about grievances and going after their enemies. That's exactly what they're doing. Trump's Department of Justice is trying to go after now Attorney General Letitia James. She was the one, of course, who took Trump's punk ass to court and actually beat him because she exposed his lying and fraudulent ways as head of the Trump companies. Now they also so they opened this investigation. They're alleging that a criminal investigation alleging that she committed mortgage fraud. They also are attacking California Senator Adam Schiff. The grand jury investigation was convened in Albany, New York. They're examining what James had to say in terms of her mortgage there as well. And the DOJ has declined to comment on the subpoenas in the grand jury investigation. Matt, we know what this is. Donald Trump is mad. He got his ass kicked by Letitia James, and so now he's targeting her. That's what we're dealing with.
That's all we're dealing with. They're going to try to do the same thing they did to Marilyn Mosby. That's it. And if I remember correctly, when I read it, they were saying that they have convened the grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia. So I'm not sure if there's a second property she owns or something, somebody scouring her records to try to make something out of nothing. But I think the larger story here is exactly what you alluded to. You know, this should be terrifying to people that the Department of Justice, which is historically an independent agency from the president, is just doing the president's bidding. It's no different than a private citizen hiring me and asking me to advance his or her cause. Pam Bondi is not supposed to be Donald Trump's lawyer. And the idea that Donald Trump is mad that Letitia James not only beat him bad in court and then called him out and, you know, called a spade all the times. The fact that he's mad about that now turning into government resources being used to harass a duly elected person who's doing a good job there in New York. I mean, this is a scary thing, but we know this. We know that this is his MO. None of this is surprising. And hopefully, you know, I know she's got some great attorneys. They're able to cut that off at the pass, but I hope she doesn't have to sit through a trial, because the scary thing about this, as people know, is you can indict a ham sandwich. It's easy to get a grand jury to return an indictment. And even if Tish James beats it, the fact that she's put up against an indictment that is solely there because Donald Trump is mad that she's standing up against her is a terrifying notion. But it's part and parcel with what we're seeing this administration do. So it's not surprising, and I'm surprised it came this late. And we know he's going to do that with anyone else he thinks is a political detractor, especially one who's flying high like Tish James.
Michael, all we hear is that Republicans, Biden weaponized the DOJ. Nobody has weaponized the DOJ and the federal government like Donald Trump the first time and now this time. They are gross, disrespectful, shameful hypocrites.
Well, yes, but you're dealing with a criminal enterprise here, to quote our brother, Dr. Greg Carr. This is exactly what it is. This is stuff out of totalitarian dictatorship country. So you have Donald Trump, who's upset about the civil lawsuit that Tish James filed against him for when it came to his taxes and stating the values of properties. And that information actually came from Michael Cohen. When Michael Cohen testified in front of Congress before he went to prison, inflating the values of properties to get loans, but deflating the values of properties when it comes time to, pay taxes, things of this nature. So she wins that lawsuit. Trump owes about $500 million now in that lawsuit. So now they come up with this type of investigation dealing with a mortgage and then also claiming that Tish James violated Donald Trump's civil rights. If this is not the height of caucasity, because you got Donald Trump violating black people's civil rights, you had Donald Trump, his second day in office, revoked affirmative action, Executive Order 11246, trampling on black people's civil rights. And then now they want to claim that Tish James violated his civil rights. So this is more of the white grievance coming from the Trump administration. This is what they're doing. They refashioned the civil rights department in the Department of Justice to focus on white grievance, things of this nature. And this is something Donald Trump campaigned on. So this is more nonsense. So hopefully Tish James is successful in this. Hopefully Adam Schiff is successful. But I just got to say this. I don't mean to be petty, but I bet Adam Schiff is maybe regretting jumping out and calling for Joe Biden to drop out of the race. Because remember, Senator Adam Schiff was jumping on MSNBC saying that Joe Biden should drop out of the race after the bad debate and the poll numbers and things like this. He may be regretting that now.
Folks, before I go to Raven, Tish James, she addressed these attacks on her, and she says, Donald, I ain't scared of your ass.
My mission is clear. I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best. I went to Howard University that overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear. It's now. And I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2 until a speaker by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save
Raven, the shortened version of that is Donald Trump, bring your ass.
I'm so here for the energy. Yes. I mean, let's call this what it is, right? Trump is mad that a highly qualified, highly accomplished, no nonsense Black woman held him to account for his gross misconduct. It's really that simple. We've seen that he clearly thinks he's above the law. He thinks that he can be a king in a country where we don't do kings. He thinks that he can just be out here defying Supreme Court order rulings and attacking his political opponents like he's above reproach or critique. And she's saying that's not going to fly. And I'm so here for it. I really think Trump's response in this situation is like if misogynoir, toxic masculinity, and like white fragility had a baby. Like that is emblematic of how he's moving in this situation. And you know what his response also tells me? He thinks that criminality can't map onto him. And I think this is really just reflective of how people think about criminality within the context of the United States. Criminality from the top down is seen as the status quo. Criminality from the bottom up is seen as criminality as opposed to resistance, right? And he really thinks he's above the law. He thinks he's above reproach. And she's saying, no, that's not the case. It's not going to fly, and you're going to be held to account. And I hope that we can all rally behind her to make sure that that comes to fruition.
Absolutely. All right, folks, hold tight. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, Black Americans have 1/10 the wealth of their white counterparts. But how did we get here? It's a huge gap. Well, that's why we need to know the history and what we need to do to turn our income into wealth. Financial author and journalist Rodney Brooks joins us to tell us exactly what we need to do to achieve financial success.
You can't talk about why we are, as Black people, where we are, unless you talk about how we got here.
Bridging the Gap and Getting Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Diaspora wars. The internet has been swarmed. Who has a right to Blackness and Black culture? Who is overrepresented, underrepresented? It's too much. It's making us dizzy.
We don't have to be prideful without this air of superiority, right? All stories matter within this Black sphere that we exist in.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Hey, this is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect anything less? Watch what happens next.
You know, it's got to be rough if you're former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and you're now trying to team up with Donald Trump to beat Zohran Mamdani. A new report says that that's what took place, that Cuomo and Trump had a call possibly about Trump endorsing Cuomo against Mamdani. Mamdani beat him in the, of course, in the New York primary. Of course, Mamdani goes to the general election in November. Now, Cuomo is still in the race, so is incumbent New York Mayor Eric Adams. They've been going back and forth. Cuomo's been saying Adams drop out. Adams saying that Cuomo drop out. But the bottom line is Mamdani is leading in the polls, and he said it's just disqualifying if Cuomo teams up with Donald Trump to try to take him out. And Mamdani said, you know what? All right, Andrew, that's how you want to roll. Let's rumble.
Looming over the election is Donald Trump, right? And there was this headline this week, and you just alluded to it in your answer right there, about this phone call between the president and Andrew Cuomo. The president denies it. Andrew Cuomo denies that phone call. And when I interviewed Andrew Cuomo recently, he said that he hadn't spoken to Donald Trump in quite some time. So why do you believe the story?
Because the New York Times stands by their reporting, and I trust them more than I trust Andrew Cuomo or Donald Trump. And with Andrew Cuomo, we don't even know what it means to hear quite some time or in a while. We know from this reporting that they continue to stand by that President Trump and Andrew Cuomo had a conversation, and that is a conversation about this mayor's race. And the very fact of it is a betrayal of New Yorkers, because in this very moment, that president has stolen food from the hungry across this country, has kicked millions of Americans, more than 1 million New Yorkers, off of their health care, and has done all of this in service of one of the largest wealth transfers from working class Americans to those who already have more money than they know what to do with.
So there is something to be said about the mayor of New York City having a relationship with the federal government and the president. Now, you said you'll be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. So how specifically, though, would you combat things like clawbacks of money or this threat that Donald Trump has said of a federal takeover of New York City? How would you combat that?
I would make the case at every single juncture about how this is not only an overreach beyond the roles and responsibilities of the federal government, but that this is something that New York will not stand for. Now, that is not to say you take a reflexive approach, always one of opposition with regards to the federal government. If Donald Trump wants to actually deliver on cheaper groceries and wants to work with me in doing so for New Yorkers, that's a phone conversation I'm willing to have.
Have you had one with him?
No, I haven't. I can tell you he hasn't called me and I haven't called him, because I am still running to defend this city first and foremost. And what offends me and so many New Yorkers is the premise of that phone call was not how can we benefit New Yorkers. The premise of it was Andrew Cuomo and Donald Trump speaking about how they can stop the Democratic nominee.
So a big part of you win.
Raven, I don't understand. There are 8.4 million people in New York City. Okay, if Mamdani is such a threat, hey, campaign against him and beat him. But it's amazing how all of these people, Bill Ackman and so many others, oh my God, this will be a tragedy. Hey, the way you win is if you beat them. Put up or shut up.
That's right. I mean, clearly New Yorkers have spoken. They want Mamdani, and there's a reason for that, because he's made it very clear that he's not going to bend to the will of billionaire interests in the way that a Cuomo will, right? And you know what? For everyone's sake, I hope it's true that Trump is endorsing Cuomo, because that will be the kiss of death to his campaign. It will be the kiss of death. But very on brand, given that they both have sexual harassment allegations. So they certainly have that in common, and birds of a feather flock together after all. You know, I think what really frustrates me about Cuomo is that essentially his argument, one of his many arguments against Mamdani, is that Mamdani is too far left, and Republicans are going to wave him around as a moniker of this particular kind of failing. And so instead, they should choose, New Yorkers should choose someone like him, who's essentially a moderate, because he'll be able to do the bipartisan dance. I think that's so ass backwards, okay? Because the response to bullying from Trump, since when is the appropriate response to bullying from Trump bending the knee and making yourself more palatable to bigots? I don't think that's how we roll. There are moments for bipartisan cooperation. I'm not saying there's not utility in that, but there are also moments where you need to stand up and fight back. That's why we chant that at protests. Stand up, fight back. And that's the kind of energy Mamdani is giving. He's giving that stand up, fight back energy, and that's why New Yorkers are rocking with him.
But see, Michael, here's what's stupid to me, okay? All right. If New Yorkers say, we like what this guy is saying, they are basically saying, I don't give a damn about the labels that you're putting on. He's speaking to the issues. And so the problem that I have is when Democrats are responding to right-wing talking points by saying, oh, if Mamdani wins, he is going to be the leader of the Democratic Party. That's bullshit. He's not. So when Eric Adams won, was he because the mayor of New York City, the leader of the Democratic Party? No. In fact, I don't care if it's the largest city in America. Whoever New Yorkers elect ain't got a damn thing to do with the rest of the country. That's New York City. And in fact, Michael, if a Democrat gets asked this question when they go on these damn cable shows, if Jake Tapper or Kristen Welker throws a question out, this is how I would respond. I don't live in New York City. I ain't got no vote. The people there can vote for who they want to vote for. Now, if you want to ask me about my city or my state or my congressional district, go ahead and do that. But I ain't got a damn thing to say about what New York City does. Next question.
Yeah. So I think part of it is, cable news, especially MSNBC and CNN, they've been losing ratings, especially after the 2024 election. Joanne Reed talked about that when she was on the Breakfast Club explaining why she thinks she was fired from MSNBC. So, you're correct. No, the mayor of New York is not the head of the Democratic Party. You just have Republicans trying to throw something against the wall to see what sticks because they are afraid of Mamdani. Okay. The other thing is, you have to outwork your opponent, and yes, you have to get more votes. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the general election because the general is different than a primary. Yes, Mamdani has the enthusiasm, but it was, from my understanding, a low voter turnout primary. And, you know, a lot of primaries are low voter turnouts. We just had a low voter turnout primary here in Detroit. Okay, Mary Sheffield dusted the competition. But the general election is entirely different. So you have to play to the general and see what happens. Now, lastly, Cuomo, if Cuomo had a conversation with Trump recently, okay, not him saying he spoke to him after the assassination attempt to express his concern, but if he had one recently, and if he's trying to show, hey, I can work with Trump and I'll be better than Mamdani, I'll be more acceptable to Trump and acceptable to Republicans. Well, this is where you beat your opponent on the issues and you get more votes. So we're going to see how this plays out. I don't live in New York. We're going to see how this plays out, but you still need to get more votes than your opponent.
Yeah, but the bottom line is when you look at any polling right now, Matt, Mamdani is kicking Cuomo's ass, is kicking Adams' ass, and maybe if they spend more time trying to figure out why he's attractive to people, then they may have a shot at beating him. I just think that Democrats get themselves caught up in this game where they're being forced to answer to a candidate that's running. Here's the deal. In Seattle, a progressive candidate is beating the incumbent mayor. You have a group that's endorsed the progressive candidate against the progressive mayor in Minneapolis. So here's the question, Matt. Is the Democratic mayor of Seattle, is that a bellwether for the Democratic Party nationally? No. How about the progressive mayor in Minneapolis? No. I don't know why Democrats fall for the bullshit of having to answer to this when that ain't none of my business. Here's Senator Elizabeth Warren answering the question, and you know what? She should have said, I ain't from there, but she said this.
I wonder, though, often we see this, and this is a local election. New York does not operate in a vacuum. It competes with other cities. And so this idea of somehow raising taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers, who, by the way, I would point out, pay roughly 15% of their income right now between city and state, raising taxes on them will simply drive them away. Shouldn't the focus of a mayor be on delivering services to the constituents of the city and doing that by raising the most revenue as possible without chasing businesses and the high-income taxpayers out of the city, because they can go to Austin, they can go to Dallas, they can go to Atlanta, they can go to Nashville. This is your issue. It's a national issue, not a local issue.
The issue is affordability. Do you know how many working families are chased out of New York City every day because they can't afford housing, they can't afford groceries, they can't afford child care? What Zoran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live here.
Nobody disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it? Why is that the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over and over and over.
And they have. They've left.
But here's the thing.
And Goldman Sachs, when they create new jobs, they do it in Dallas. And Blackstone won't build a new headquarters. And go on and on.
You want to have a workable city. You want to have a city that's vibrant. You want to have a city where the streets are full, where there are things for sale 24 hours a day. Then you need people who can live here and work
here. Well, we've got that right now, by the way. I would point out New York is thriving. So now it's doing pretty well, actually.
I'm glad you think they're doing well, because a lot of people are struggling to pay for housing. A lot of people are struggling to pay for groceries. And I got to tell you, mamas and daddies who are facing $25,000 a year to pay for child care.
Those are national issues. I mean, I know they are the local state, but you can't.
New York City.
Yes, but if you deal with them in that way, by what is always your backup, just tax them more, they will leave.
No, the backup is make this city and make this country work for everyone. I get that the Republican point of view is make this country and make every city in this country work better and better for a handful of billionaires and let everybody else eat dirt. But what Mamdani won on in a Democratic primary is he said, I'm going to address affordability. And he didn't win by one vote.
No, he won by a lot. It's
He
very
won
much
by a
unclear he
lot.
has the ability to actually do it, by the way, based on the laws and what the governor has to say and what he would actually have to do.
You know, I love that as the fallback position, and that is he's fighting for the right thing, but maybe the billionaires will have a way to
everybody
block
wants
him.
a more affordable city. There's no doubt about that. The question is how you go.
I actually do have a doubt about that. The
build more
billionaires
housing.
sure don't want to pay their part on this.
You build.
Okay, Matt, see, here's the problem here, and this is how idiotic David Faber is, okay? So I just want everybody to listen to what he said. That this is not a local issue, it's a national issue. So if Mamdani does this, he's going to run the rich people out, and they're going to go to other places. And they're going to build in Austin and in Dallas and in Florida. Matt, I'm confused. That if it's a national issue, as Faber said, and they go to other states, isn't that national? Doesn't that mean the nation still benefits? I mean, this is what happens when you are so out of touch on CNBC, when you are so quick to defend rich people, you don't even know what the hell you're saying. This is a national issue. Senator Warren, aren't you concerned that if Mamdani does this, he's going to run the rich people to other states? Doesn't the nation still benefit with them being in America? Now, if Faber made the argument that Senator Warren, the actions of Mamdani, if he wins, he's going to run them out of the country, then David Faber, that becomes a national story. Otherwise, it's a local story. I don't understand what the deal is. And again, I don't live in New York City. I don't give a shit. It has no impact on me because I don't live there. This is why these rich-ass people who are anchors on television do not speak for regular, ordinary people because, I mean, Mamdani, he's sitting here saying he's going to raise taxes. Shouldn't a mayor be concerned about delivering services? Well, how do I deliver services if I have a collapsing tax base? I have to pay for the services somehow. These idiots don't even know what they sound like when they're talking, Matt.
Well, first, they can run Elon Musk back because he built a campus about, 3 miles from my parents' house in Austin. So I'd be glad to have him gone. Whatever, takes Tesla leaving, I'm happy to have happen. But, one of the things I think is kind of the undercurrent here that nobody's talking about, or maybe you've talked about it on other shows, is I'm wondering if there is a concern in the Democratic Party and a hope in the Republican Party that Mamdani gets elected so they can try to call all Democrats socialists because he's a Democratic socialist. I don't know how much that...
But they do it anyway.
Right? I know. But I don't
But Matt, here's the issue. They do it. Here's the deal. You can be a conservative Democrat and they're still going to call you a socialist. Joe Biden is a centrist, frankly, center-right Democrat. For 4 years, Joe Biden's a socialist. So they're going to call every Democrat a socialist, every Democrat a communist. They're going to do it anyway. So and again, if I'm a Democrat, the way you answer that is, that ain't me. That man in New York City. They ain't got nothing to do with me. See, again, they're not comparing him. They're not saying to all Democrats, are you the same as the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Seattle, the mayor of Minneapolis, the mayor of Houston, the mayor? We go on and on and on. No, they fall for the banana in the tailpipe every time taking the bait. Senator Cory Booker is afraid to endorse. And they're like, well, he's afraid to endorse. And Booker was like, that's New York. They ain't got nothing to do with me. That's their business.
Right. But what I was going to say is I think that tension is at play because you would think that if the person gets elected to the mayoralty in New York, even if that is only New York in terms of a local issue, it has a national reverberation because New York is the biggest city in the country. And I'm sure there's some reticence.
No, it doesn't.
Cory Booker.
No, actually, it doesn't.
I think so. I don't think it's necessarily a bellwether.
No, it doesn't, Matt.
You can say that.
No, Matt, here's the deal. It has no national reverberation. This is why I believe you're saying that. It's because New York City is the media capital of the world. That's why. All the networks are based there. The major media companies are there. So follow me here. The major media companies, they work in New York City. So it's big to them. So they then make it big on the air. The mayor of New York City has zero thing to do with Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Idaho, California, Washington State, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, Kansas, Missouri, Maine, New Hampshire, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, Maryland, Georgia, nothing. But because the media is centralized in New York City, this is going to impact the nation. It won't. He gets elected, it ain't impacting Raven in Chicago. It ain't doing nothing to Michael in Detroit. It ain't doing nothing to you in Corpus Christi. But it's a media story.
Yeah, maybe so. And I'm not saying that I think what's actually happening in New York is going to affect me on the ground, but on a smaller level, whatever they do at home in Austin gets sent around and attributed to Democrats in Texas. So I don't think you can say a socialist who's elected mayor in a landslide there in New York is not going to have a national reverberation in terms of how Republicans play it. That's all I'm getting at. I'm not talking about it there being a substantive effect of what happens in New York City anywhere else in the country, because obviously it's a very, isolated locale. I'm saying I wonder if Democrats are concerned to really say what he's saying substantively is valuable because they're worried about being tied to someone who's actually a member of the Socialist Party or a Democratic Socialist, and therefore they're concerned about their own electoral effects and how that could potentially affect them down the road. That's all I'm getting at.
But Raven, here's the problem with that. They're going to call you a socialist even if you're not. They called Kamala Harris a socialist, Biden a socialist, Obama a socialist. It's a default for Republicans.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And I don't know, maybe this is radical of me, but what's so wrong with socialism anyways? I mean, I think one of the things that makes us robust and capacious as a party is that we don't fall into the same kind of groupthink cult mentality, at least to the same extent that I think Republicans do. We have ebbs and flows and deviations. We're not all on the same page about all the same things. Now, sometimes that turns into the game of, well, I'm more morally righteous than you, and a kind of carceral politics of discarding one another when we're not 100% on the same page about things. But I don't think it's a bad thing that someone is coming in with a new idea. Real talk, if what we had rocking right now was working, we wouldn't be in the situation that we were in. Like, people are so resistant to new ways of thinking, new ways of organizing, new ways of thinking about government and thinking about community and redistribution of wealth and resources. But we need some radical new ideas, and that should be okay. And I think establishment Democrats who are so deeply enmeshed in current power structures as they exist, feel very threatened by that. They don't know how to reckon with that. Maybe perhaps they personally don't benefit from that. And so it's more comfortable to distance yourself. But young people want some new energy. Come in, shake it up, give me some new ideas, meet people's material needs, right? Like Elizabeth Warren was saying, meet people's material needs. People cannot afford groceries. People cannot pay for their rent. What are you going to do about it? What y'all have been doing is not working. So now someone is coming in with new ideas and you want to guffaw at them? No, I'm gonna hear what he has to say. And you should too.
Michael, I just think, again, Democrats fall for the banana and the tailpipe every time. If somebody, I'm sorry. If I am the United States Senator from Massachusetts, and if they're sitting here saying, and matter of fact, I would flip it. So, Senator, do you think that if the socialist elected mayor of New York City, it's going to somehow hurt? Then I would literally sit there and say, have you ever asked about the mayor of Seattle? The mayor of this city, that city, that city, that city, that city. Like, this is literally, like, I'm not even entertaining it. That, to me, is the problem. Democrats get in trouble when they are playing on a Republican playground where they've set all the rules and all the traps and you are to respond. I just think it's very simple. The answer is real simple. Is this: if the voters of New York City choose Zohran Mamdani, then that's who they choose. And if you're in New York City and you don't want him to be mayor, then you go vote. What's your next question?
Yeah. Well, one, yes, the major media outlets, they are stationed in New York City.
Hold on, Michael, hold on, Michael. So let me go ahead and add this so you can respond to it, which backs up what I'm saying. During the debate, did you see what happened during the debate? When they said, if you're elected mayor, what's the first trip you're taking? Every candidate, I'm going to Israel. I'm going to Israel. I'm going to the Holy City. I'm going to Israel. You know what Mamdani said? He said, well, actually, I'm not going anywhere. I'm trying to take care of New York City.
Right.
Brilliant answer. That was him saying, as the mayor of New York City, I ain't got shit to do with Israel. That ain't no foreign policy component about being the mayor of New York City. He was like, somebody's going to keep my ass right here and deal with the issues of New York City. It was a brilliant, brilliant answer.
Yeah, I did see that. So New York City being the center of media, and we just saw Good Morning America just move their studios to New York City. But the other thing is that New York City.
No. Good Morning America. Good Morning America was always in New York City. They were in Times Square. They moved their studio to out of Times Square to the Hudson. The ABC bought a bunch of space in the Hudson Yards, so they moved it from Times Square to Hudson Yards. But they're still in New York City.
Still in New York City, okay. Because I saw when they celebrated it. The other thing is New York City is where, you have Wall Street also, okay? So you're dealing with the financial markets. But yeah, to your point, a lot of times Democrats, you're dealing with a big tent party, number one. But a lot of times, they do take the bait and may not try to be put into a box, but it is true that they're going to call you either a socialist or a communist regardless. And most Republicans don't know the difference between socialism and communism. They use the terms interchangeably, okay, to try to put you into a box, to cast you a certain way. They did this with Biden, which is totally ridiculous. That Biden had to tell him, no, I'm a capitalist. Okay, I'm not a socialist. So these are the games that, Republicans play. But New York City, the mayor of New York City is not really going to impact these other states. Now, I think something that shifted was when 9/11 happened and Rudolph Giuliani was called America's mayor. And I think that may have
because that was a tragedy. But But Michael, it actually did. It actually didn't. You can go back to the 70s when Lindsay was mayor, when Ed Koch was mayor, Dinkins was mayor, before Giuliani. Again, let me say it again. National media has always elevated that the mayor of New York City is the second most important job in the country behind the commander-in-chief. No, it's not. No, it's not. The rest of the country literally doesn't give a shit about the mayor of New York City, but because David Letterman's show, the late night shows, all those people are based in New York City, guess who comes on the show? The mayor of New York City.
New York City, right.
The mayor of Denver doesn't. The mayor of Denver is not going on Jimmy Fallon. The mayor of Scottsdale, Arizona is not going on Seth Meyers. So national media elevates the mayor of New York City to be a larger-than-life figure. And all I'm saying is the mayor of New York City has no relevance on the other 49 states at all. And so Democrats should not fall for he's going to be the standard bearer of the party. No.
Right.
No, he won't.
Yeah. Yeah. They want to use Mamdani to scare other people, scare
that's all.
Democrats, scare people away from him. Yeah. Because I remember back when Mayor Ed Koch hosted Saturday Night Live. Okay. So this is the mayor of New York being elevated. Yeah. So yeah, no, that definitely happens.
That's all. That's all. So again, don't fall for the okie-doke Democrats. Let them right-wingers run with it and simply say, man, they ain't got nothing to do with me. Move on. All right, y'all. I got to go to a break. But when I come back, I got a few things to say about the racist head basketball coach at Auburn University. And I'm telling you right now, if black parents, y'all have got to get some courage, and no black parent, not one black parent, should let their son play basketball for that racist bastard Bruce Pearl at Auburn. I'm explaining why next. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support our work. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You can get Cash App using the Stripe QR code. You see the QR code right on the screen. You can also, of course, use that QR code for credit cards. Checks and money orders. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo, RM Unfiltered, Zelle. Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
On the next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, we're talking about leveling up, or to put it another way, living your very best life. How to take a bold step forward that'll rock your world.
Leveling up is different for everybody. You know, I think we fall into this trap, which often gets us stuck because we're looking at someone else's level up journey, what leveling up means to them. For some, it might be a business venture. For some, it might be a relationship situation, but it's different for everybody.
It's all a part of A Balanced Life. That's next on Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. The United States is the most dangerous place for a woman to give birth among all industrialized nations on the planet. Think about that for a second. That's not all. Black women are 3 times more likely to die in this country during childbirth than white women.
These healthcare systems are inherently racist. There are a lot of white supremacist ideas and mythologies around black women's bodies, even black people, that we experience pain less, right?
Activist, organizer, and fearless freedom fighter Monifa Akinwole-Bandele from Moms Rising joins us and tells us this shocking phenomenon, like so much else, is rooted in unadulterated racism. And that's just one of her fights. Monifa Bandele on the next Black Table here on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Diaspora wars. The internet has been swarmed. Who has a right to blackness and black culture? Who is overrepresented, underrepresented? It's too much. It's making us dizzy.
We don't have to be prideful without this air of superiority, right? All stories matter within this Black sphere that we exist in.
Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up? It's Sammy Roman.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, my book is called White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. And I said it many times, that the election of President Barack Obama caused white folks to trip. Now, let me be real clear. Obama got white support. There were people who were excited, who were happy. But the fact of the matter is, it's some white folks in this country who could not stand the fact that a Negro, even though daddy black from Kenya, mama's white, nah, way too much blackness in the Oval Office. Here you have Auburn basketball coach Bruce Pearl, who loves to demand unqualified support from Israel because he's Jewish. Listen to the trash that he spewed on that white right-wing rag of a media outlet, Outkick.
I get so frustrated when I hear what a terrible country we are, how racist we are, how this is not the land of opportunity for everybody. Look, we've got a lot to work on, and there's racism that absolutely does exist, and it's wrong. But it's a lot better for my players than it was for their fathers or for their fathers' fathers or their fathers' fathers. And so I want my guys to recognize there are going to be obstacles, but not roadblocks. And that's what Barack Obama did. However, as our president, other than just love listening to him talk because he's such a great orator, I disagree with so many of his policies. I thought in so many ways, rather than uniting us as a country, even by race, he divided us. Everything was black and white. Everything was the obstacles that were against, my players from being successful. I'm trying to teach my guys, look, I don't want you working at Subway. I want you owning 5 of them. And that's possible. I think in many ways, Barack Obama told a different story. So it's hard to criticize him, though, because you get a lot of feedback that's really, really negative. My point on Obama the last time was this. He was calling on Israel for a ceasefire. He was calling on Israel to stop the war. He was calling on Israel, to release the hostages. And I'm like, dude, they're not the ones holding the hostages. They didn't start this war. The war and the violence and all the atrocities that go on both sides of the war end the minute that Hamas surrenders, releases the hostages.
I hope y'all were listening. I hope y'all will. Let me translate what Bruce Pearl just said. I can't stand Obama because Obama was not 100% hardcore pro-Israel. That's really what Bruce Pearl is saying. Netanyahu couldn't stand Obama because Obama was not going, even though the United States stood forcefully behind Israel, they didn't like the fact that he wasn't hardcore behind Israel. That's the bullshit. See, when you listen to lying-ass Bruce Pearl, oh my God, everything with Obama, everything was black and white. That's absolute bullshit. Bruce Pearl is so full of shit. Well, Obama, I don't want my guys to work at Subway. I want my guys to own 5 Subways. Hey, Bruce, are you aware that it was under Obama when the rules were changed to allow an increase in crowdsource funding to build businesses. Are you aware of that? Bruce, are you aware of the economic things that Obama talked about? See, y'all, it's white people like Bruce Pearl who love to, Obama divided us. Please, Bruce, I want you to explain exactly how Obama divided us. I don't know, and maybe when I go to the panel, not right now, but maybe when I go to Michael and Raven and Matt, maybe they can help me recall just the divisive whitey go to hell speeches that Obama gave. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember all of the white America, y'all can kiss my ass news conferences that Obama had. I can't recall those. See, what Bruce Pearl would never, ever own up to is that the mere presence of Obama is what pissed off white folks in this country. See, the Bruce Pearls of the world, see, they were, well, you know, I want my guys to know that there are obstacles and there are. Bruce, your punk ass is in Alabama. And see, y'all, Bruce Pearl has kissed so much MAGA ass. Love him some Donald Trump. But you know what I ain't never heard Bruce Pearl? I ain't never heard Bruce Pearl condemn white conservative Republicans in Alabama for trying to keep black folks out of power. I've never heard Bruce Pearl call out Donald Trump for canceling that settlement where black people in Lowndes County had sewage backing up into their yards and homes because Donald Trump called it an illegal DEI settlement. I've never, ever heard Bruce Pearl, who he cares so much about his black players at Auburn. I've never, ever heard Bruce Pearl call out Alabama Governor Kay Ivey for taking COVID money to help people, but instead to build more prisons. I've never heard Bruce Pearl, who's super duper pro-Israel. I ain't never heard Bruce Pearl condemn the white conservative Republicans in Alabama for telling black cities you can't take down Confederate monuments. Matter of fact, since Bruce Pearl is talking about, how he cares about, he wants his players to own 5 subways. Show me the last time Bruce Pearl had a summit in the Black Belt of Alabama to talk about economic revitalization in Selma and Montgomery. See, by all means, I need to see Bruce Pearl standing up for what's right. See, please, Bruce Pearl, can you show me the evidence of when that black man was shot in the suburbs of Birmingham when he was with his girlfriend and black folks have been protesting the release of the body cam footage? Oh, by all means, Bruce, please show me where you were standing with the family. See, I love it when white guys like Bruce Pearl, Jewish Americans like Bruce Pearl, want to be so hardcore and adamant about Israel, but then want to say, Obama divided us, but you can't actually cite specifically what Obama said, when he said it, and how he divided us. And that's why I'm telling y'all right now, if I had a nephew, if I had a son, and they were a basketball player, I would say your ass can go to any school in America, but you're damn sure not going to play for Bruce Pearl. See, it's the presence of some black people that's so unsettling to bigots like Bruce Pearl. Because, see, what they want is, they want the nice, quiet, yeah, boss. Yeah, boss. See, Bruce, he want them Negroes who don't look them in the eye, who bow their head and sort of walk up hunchback. See, Bruce Pearl want them Negroes. Ooh, Master Bruce, how you doing? Lord, thank you so much for being able to take my son and letting him play basketball under you. Oh, Master Bruce, oh, please teach my son how to dress. Please, Master Bruce, teach my son how to walk. Oh, Master Bruce, teach my son how to toot. How about this, Bruce Pearl? Why don't you teach your black basketball players how not to be a cheat at basketball? Because your ass cheated at Tennessee. That's why you had a show cause from the NCAA. Your ass cheated at Alabama. That's why your assistant basketball coach, Chuck Person, got in trouble. Oh, yeah. Oh, you thought I forgot about that Adidas scandal? Oh, you forgot about that, huh? See, you now are earning millions of dollars, Bruce Pearl, being the head basketball coach at Auburn, reviving the program. But you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall, to call out Obama, saying, oh, how he divided America and he made it everything black and white, when your punk ass is the head coach of Auburn in Alabama and your sorry, trifling ass ain't said a word about the virulent racism and the economic opportunities that black folk have been frozen out of in your particular state. You give a damn more about the state of Israel than you do the state of Alabama. And then you call out Obama knowing full well that the reason your ass even make the $4 million you make is because you making it on the backs of black labor at Auburn. Bruce Pearl, you can go to hell with your trifling racist ass for those comments. Raven, I know about your background. I want to go to you first. Because this is the kind of bullshit that we have to deal with from some Jewish Americans who want to play games, but need to be called out on their bigotry and racism.
Ooh, there's a lot to unpack there, Roland. I mean, I'll start with this. You know, I'm Black and Jewish. I'm a progressive woman. I talk a lot about politics, education online every day. I think that there's a lot to delve into here. But Roland, what I first want to talk about is this claim that Obama divided us as a country that you're naming. And that is a fallacy, right? I think what really divided us as a country, if we want to be honest, is that folks thought that once Obama was elected, we would be a post-racial society. Remember that whole discourse? Oh, well, we elected one black person, so now we don't have to reckon with race anymore. We don't have to talk about it anymore. We don't have to dissect it and make good on promises around things like reparations or reconciling harm done. Well, those promises were never made, but, you know, one could hope. And so, you know, I think those were the hopes. But actually what they were met with was a president who was like, hey, we're going to actually talk seriously about inequities and harm done, both past and present. We're going to sit with this. We're going to hold this. And they didn't like that. And so what we got in response was a very intense, virulent white backlash. That white backlash so hard, now we have Donald Trump. And so really what I hear Bruce recirculating here is this conservative talking point that is essentially, if we don't talk about race, then it will go away, right? Y'all need to stop talking about it. And my frustration with those people is, why are you more angry at people talking about racial inequities than you are at the existence of the racial inequities. If you would like us to stop talking about them, then help us eradicate them. It is really that simple, but they don't want to do that work. They want to put their head in the sand. Now, to the point around Israel, I do want us to be really careful, right? Because I do think there is this anti-Semitic trope of dual loyalty, that Jewish Americans are always, more loyal to Israel than we are to the United States. Now, certainly, as a Jewish community, we exist on a spectrum of political ideology. So obviously, Bruce and I have very differing views. For example, I wouldn't describe what's going on as a war. I would call it what it is, which is a genocide. But I do want us to be cognizant of how we talk about these particular positionalities in terms of Israel. I mean, look, there are some folks who are going to look at Obama's positionality, his statement that he put out about calling for a ceasefire, and they're going to say exactly what Bruce said. But the truth is, Israel does need to be held to account. The leadership in Israel needs to be held to account. It is not radical to call for a ceasefire. It should be commonplace. It is the right thing to do. And those who want to pretend that he's being performing or behaving beyond the pale are moving in ways that are profoundly and fundamentally disingenuous.
The reason I specifically called him out for his hardcore pro-Israel support is I've seen numerous tweets. I've seen his love for Donald Trump and his constant comments about Israel. But the point that I'm making is, and again, he can be pro-Israel. I don't care. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Even if he is close to Netanyahu, I'm fine with that. My problem is when you want to try to call out Obama, saying he divided the country, and when you're Bruce Pearl, you have been far more vocal about what's happening in Israel than you've been what's happening against black folks in Alabama, when he is one of the highest paid public employees in the entire state. Probably third or fourth behind the head football coach at Alabama and Auburn. Michael.
Yeah, there's a lot here. Well, Trump is dividing America. So it's interesting. Bruce Pearl says this about President Obama. Obama tried to unite America. For instance, when he had the beer summit after Dr. Henry Louis Gates Jr. was arrested on the campus of Harvard University, if I remember correctly, trying to enter his own home. Barack Obama had a beer summit with Henry Louis Gates Jr. and
No. Hold up. We got to tell the truth about that. We got to tell the truth.
Go ahead.
Obama did not want to have a beer summit. No, Obama didn't want to have a beer summit.
Yep.
Here's what happened with that. In that news conference, President Obama said the Cambridge, Massachusetts cops acted stupidly in arresting Skip Gates after it was determined that was his house.
Yes, he did.
White right-wing media, white right-wing media and Fox News took that. Obama calls cops stupid. Obama hates law enforcement. Now, let me tell you what happened.
Right.
The next day, I'm going to tell you what happened in the Oval Office. The next day, Obama's white aides went to the Oval Office. We going to have to walk this back. I was told point blank. Obama said, get out of here with that. His white aides then went and congregated, trying to figure out, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. Then there was a huge fight with the black aides, because the black aides said, the hell y'all talking about? The black aides said, we walk out of this building and we can't get a cab outside. So you had this huge tension going on with the white aides. And so Fox News and the right wing talk show, they kept bringing it up. And then, and so that thing went on for like a week. And the only way to quiet it down, because it was a central focus, was the beer summit.
I remember.
But he didn't want to have the beer summit. He was forced to have the beer summit to quell all of the white anger. because they took out of context what he said and said, look at Obama. He's calling all cops stupid. Go right ahead.
Right. Yeah, because he said stupidly. He said the police acted stupidly. He did not call the police stupid. Yeah, I remember.
No. He said acted stupidly in arresting Gates after determining that was his house. They dropped all that and said Obama calls cops stupid. That was Sean Hannity and the right wing. Go ahead.
That was Rush Limbaugh too. I remember when it happened. Yes, I remember. So you have things like even though it wasn't something that Obama wanted to do, it was something that he still did. Okay, but he was not trying to divide the country. And what happens is when you have the right wing, when you have people like Rush Limbaugh, who I do not miss, and you have people like Sean Hannity, and these other right-wingers, Jesse Waters, they think that talking about racism to expose it is somehow promoting racism. They really don't want to talk about racism, okay, to expose it because they benefit from racism. The other thing you had taking place is you had the backlash of the Tea Party against President Obama as well. In those 2010 midterm elections as well. You had the rise of the Tea Party, partly funded by Clarence Thomas's wife and the Koch brothers. So you had that also. But I find it interesting that Bruce Pearl doesn't want to call out Donald Trump and his racism because Donald Trump has set black people back, 60 years of civil rights progress in 2 months. So I find it very interesting that he doesn't want to call out Donald Trump and his racism. But this is how people like Bruce Pearl are. Okay, that's why we should not send our boys to play for him down in Alabama.
At all. Matt, your thoughts?
I wonder if Laura Ingraham would also tell him to shut up and dribble. Because what I don't understand is why we're listening to the coach of Auburn talk politics, number one. And number two, when I'm the third person you call on, there's not really sometimes things I have to add because I think you hit the nail on the head. Your thoughts were exactly mine. If you notice what Bruce Pearl did in that segment is a lot of times what white people do when they talk about Obama. He's this nebulous figure where they can't say a specific thing they don't like, but he somehow divides. He's dividing the country, all of that. Despite, as you said, President Trump in the White House making it a hallmark of his candidacy and a hallmark of his administrations both times to be as direct and as openly inviting of racism as any person who's ever been in the White House, more so than anyone, right? But he doesn't say anything about that. And what I always wonder is, like you said, and like Michael said, don't send your son to go play for Auburn. I mean, what do you do if you're a player on his team? Your coach is out saying this kind of stuff about you. And what he's trying to do is a lot of times what you see white people do. They move the goalpost and they change it from it being a DEI conversation to this meritorious conversation, right? I want my guys to own X number of subways, but never talk about all of the social phenomena that create the disparity between black and white wealth, right? Or any of the other things that are the reality on the ground. They just talk like I've got this cadre of people who deserve this better life, and this black guy over here is the scapegoat for basically all our problems. And interestingly, he didn't say a single thing specific about Obama. And I think that's proof positive of what you see a lot of times from racists, from white racists. But what I don't understand is why we're listening to the Auburn coach with no bona fides that I know of talk about politics when he should be focused on, coaching a team.
Oh, and by the way, to your point there, Matt, I want my players to own 5 subways, but I'm not saying anything about Donald Trump wanting to get rid of the federal DBA program that is $37 billion for people of color. Oh, I want my players to own 5 subways, but I'm not going to say anything about the lack of African Americans receiving venture capital money, even private equity money, and the inequities there and the systemic racism that exists there. Oh, I want my players to own 5 subways, but I'm not going to say anything about redlining in businesses and when in homes that impacts black people. oh, I want my players not to work at Subway, but to own 5 Subways, I'm not going to say anything about the studies in America that showed a black person with the same resume as a white person, but they had a black-sounding name, had a 50% chance less of getting a call back. See, it's amazing. It's a whole lot of stuff. And well, I know there's racism, but I just think that we just got to be more positive. And Obama, he was just so negative when, in fact, Obama was so safe. He was so safe. But these white folks swear Malcolm X became president. Ain't that thing amazing? All right, y'all, I'm here in Cleveland for the National Association of Black Journalists 50th Anniversary Convention. And earlier today, we inducted new folks into our NABJ Hall of Fame. There were a number of people who were honored, some great individuals. It's always great, of course, to have our Hall of Fame. Y'all roll a video. Y'all should have it. Some of those honorees, I want to shout out. That's Callie Crossley right there. Callie, I serve on the board of NABJ with Callie. That's my girl, Pam Moore, of course, out of K-Ron in San Francisco. That's my man, Greg Moore, longtime managing editor of the Denver Post, Boston Globe. It's a good brother. My man, Leon Carter, the first African-American sports editor at the New York Daily News. My man, Bob Reed. He was the first broadcast president of the National Association of Black Journalists. That's right there. It's a good brother, Wayne Dawson, out of Cleveland. My Alfred brother, Leon Bibb. That's him right there, also honored. And that there's a brother standing in place of Cecil Williams, who was also being honored, but who could not attend the ceremonies. But folks, there were a lot of great speeches, but I love what Bob Reed had to say to the folks in attendance, where he spoke truth to what's happening in our industry.
Following a lot of really great people, well-deserving, and who've made some incredible speeches. And I'm just so thankful to be here, and I'm especially thankful to NABJ for this very great honor. NABJ has a special place in my heart, always has and always will. I've spent my life gathering news, managing newsrooms in cable channels, and teaching. It's been an incredible journey, and it's not over yet. To those who helped along the way, thank you. You know who you are. There are too many of you to mention because I've been at it a long time. But I also would like to acknowledge some people right here from WKYC TV, where 53 years ago, I actually broke a color barrier that is probably not well known as the first black news manager at WKYC TV back in 1971. One of my many stops along the way. I'm especially grateful to President Kathy Times, Wayne Dawkins, Gail Paulett Terry, and Jean Fox Alston for nominating me for this great honor. And to my wife, Dima, son, Sean, friend, Jason Horton, and first cousins, Vincent and Bracelina Brookins, my Cleveland cousins, that is, who are here in the room with me today to celebrate. My grandfather thought I'd preach. My mother hoped for a lawyer. Some teachers said politicians, but I followed my own dream and fell in love with journalism. But in the 60s, the 1960s that is, there were very few role models for black Georgia farm boys taught with secondhand books in segregated schools. So I blazed my own trail. By 1975, I was a manager at NBC News in New York when NABJ was founded. And 4 years later, President Vernon Jarrett urged me to take the helm. And even as some blacks, and he handed me the baton, actually, even as some blacks and many whites wondered why NABJ was necessary. Now, hard-earned gains by black journalists, and indeed black people, are under assault as too woke. Now, I'm old enough to remember when managers falsely claimed they couldn't find qualified blacks to hire. Now the government's anti-DEI orders question the need to even try. With legacy media flailing, internet lies outrun the truth, no editors, no consensus, no accountability. I sustained my career through the years by continual reinvention. And to the young people here today, I say, you can do that too. If nobody is hiring, hire yourself. Create, innovate. Because a free press is the ultimate weapon of democracy. And our voices are desperately needed to challenge power, to report the truth, to preserve the Black perspective in a universe, a media universe, ruled by bots, bullies, billionaires, and bigots. Unless we speak up, get into what John Lewis, the great and late John Lewis, called good trouble, NABJ and even the imperfect democracy our ancestors died for could be reduced to fading memories of an impossible dream. And history will say, when they came for us, we were silent. Our freedoms already lost. So NABJ, keep fighting for justice and equality until victory is won. Thank you very much, NABJ.
Folks, also, NABJ held elections. Well, we sort of have these staggered elections, and so there were several races on the ballot this year, including President Erin Haynes. She beat incumbent President Ken Lemon. Walter Randolph, Vice President Broadcast, he beat Raylan Johnson by 1 vote to remain Vice President Broadcast. Corey Atkinson was elected Secretary, and I was elected Vice President Digital. This will be my 4th time serving on the board of directors, 2nd time as Vice President Digital. Here is Erin Haynes with her acceptance speech at the news conference that announced the results. Oh, your mama the reason we late?
Yeah. You know what? Hi, you guys. How's everybody doing? Well, I guess everybody else already got to talk. I'm not going to hold y'all. But I just want to say thank you. Can y'all hear me back there? Okay. Well, hello, NABJ family. Standing here as your next president is truly one of the great honors of my life and my career. I'm filled with such deep gratitude and the trust that all of you have placed in me, for the example of our founders, and for the power of this organization that has sustained and inspired me since I was a student journalist. 50 years ago, 44 Black journalists came together in a Washington hotel room and took a risk for the sake of truth, and took a risk for the sake of representation and justice. They stood up in an industry that too often sought to erase us and insisted that we belong here, that our voices matter, and that our stories matter. That courage built the foundation that I stand on today. So I want to honor those 50 years of bold reporting, of advocacy, of mentoring, of opening doors, and refusing to let them close behind us. But we also recognize that that work is far from finished. In fact, the attacks on Black journalism, on the truth, and on our democracy make it clear that our next 50 years must be just as courageous, just as relentless, and just as visionary as our first. I just want to take a minute to thank my fellow candidates and to thank our outgoing President Ken Lemon. I can tell you from experience that running for this role is not easy. I guess I'm about to find out that being in this role is not easy. But it does take a love for NABJ and a belief in our mission to even put your name forward. For those of you who are not standing up here today, we may have had different ideas about how to lead, but I want to say that our shared commitment to this organization is the thing that matters the most. So I want to ask each one of you, I want to ask everybody in this room, and I want to ask every single member of NABJ to join us now in unity. We will need all of us together to meet this moment ahead and the attacks that are outside that door, not in this organization. Because the truth is that we are facing a time when the forces of erasure and exclusion are working overtime to silence Black voices, to distort our history, and to undermine our role as truth tellers. I said yesterday, NABJ is the conscience of our profession. This is not a time for division. This is a time for us to lock arms, for us to advocate fiercely, for us to innovate boldly, and for us to ensure that NABJ remains not just relevant, but indispensable. Because our next 50 years are going to be defined by how we respond right now. How we fight for newsroom equity, how we defend press freedom, how we nurture the next generation, and how we insist on telling the full, unvarnished story of America. I promise all of you, I'm going to lead with transparency. I'm going to listen with intention, and I will act with the urgency that this moment demands. Together, we will honor our legacy, not just by preserving it, but by pushing us forward. So thank you, NABJ family, and let's get to work on our story, our moment, and our future. Thank you.
So, folks, we take over on Sunday. And if you think we bring the funk right here on this show, I can guarantee you, Raven, Michael, and Matt, we're going to be bringing the funk on this board and positioning NABJ for its next, for its second 50 years. Real quick, all of your comments. Raven, you first.
Sure. I mean, there's so much to hold in these remarks that were shared with us. I'm particularly struck by what our brother said at the beginning when he said that, you know, they used to say we weren't qualified and now they say we're DEI hires. And really what that makes me think of is just the insidious nature of white supremacy, right? I think we live under this false supposition that we've had this linear kind of progress, that things have gotten better, they're not perfect, but they've steadily gotten better, when in fact, it's not that these technologies of hatred have gone away, they've just become more savvy in particular ways. You know, they figured out how to hide themselves in different kinds of crevices and appear to be benign when in fact they're extremely vile and foul and virulent. And so I think to both of the speakers' points, just the importance of free press in this moment when we're seeing tactics taken straight out of the Nazi playbook, right? Operating in our geopolitical landscape, the silencing of free press, the defunding of PBS and NPR, like it is more important than ever that Black media and Black voices are heard, are funded, are centered. And I think that's why I'm always so excited to come on your show, Roland, because this is part of that important work.
Bottom line, Michael, there is no, if we think about if it was 50 years ago when 44 Black journalists convened in D.C. to found the National Association of Black Journalists, there were more Black people who were actually at that meeting, but there were a number who were afraid of losing their jobs, and they did not sign the roster because they did not want their white bosses to know they were there. With Donald Trump and his FCC, ordering companies to get rid of DEI like Paramount and CBS. You see them attacking companies that do that. There is no greater time to have an aggressive National Association of Black Journalists fighting on behalf of journalists, and Black people than today.
Absolutely. And like you say in your promo, you can't be Black-owned media and be scared. And I would say you can't be in Black media and be scared also, especially in a time like this. So journalism and the press, journalism, you know, that's like really like the fourth branch of government. And that helps to keep in line and put a check on the other three branches of government. And a totalitarian move is to intimidate and try to take control of the press, take control over media companies, things of this nature. This is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. So African-American journalists are needed now more than ever, especially at a time when you have Black social media disinformation agents on social media, and how lies on social media can spread so quickly. You have to have culturally competent African-American journalists that can reach the people and get the truth to them also. So congratulations, Roland. I'll look to see what comes this next year. And I need to join NABJ as well. I've been in media 15 years, so I need to join NABJ also.
And the reality, Matt, look, we have 37 vendors at our job fair. Normally we have upwards of 100. We are seeing the direct impact of the attacks on DEI. We probably are going to have, according to our finance committee, a $700,000 deficit with this convention because of all the companies that were here last year that did not return. People need to understand nearly every Black nonprofit in America is being negatively impacted by the attacks of Donald Trump, MAGA, and the Republicans on DEI and other efforts. These companies, a lot of them have, this gives them cover. A lot of them didn't want to do this in the first place. But I have been consistently saying what we're seeing is an effort to defund Black America. And this is a moment where we have to be training the next generation of freedom fighters, of journalists, not to be scared, not to be weak, not to be impotent, but being willing to stand on truth and stand up to power.
That's it. I mean, the fact that you have far fewer vendors there this year is a testament to precisely why NABJ is so important. Because, you know, right now he's trying to silence people that are saying things he doesn't like. So we need the people who are unafraid to continue speaking truth to power. So congratulations on your election. I don't know why anybody would ever let you be in control of anything, but that's a different conversation. But as it relates to NABJ, it is absolutely important. And I appreciate that they're continuing to shoulder the mantle to keep us informed, because Michael brings up a great point. I mean, I don't know the data, but I suspect the vast majority of people these days get their news from social media, right? So we need journalists who are out there really telling the truth and speaking truth to power and counteracting that disinformation that we know is very pervasive in our society these days.
So let me remind Matt, Matt might have missed this in my intro. This is my fourth time on the board, Matt.
I heard you.
So I think they knew what they were doing. I think you might have missed that. So clearly they know what it means to have me running stuff. Ravi, you want to make a quick point?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in there because we're talking about social media, and I am a content creator after all, so I have a lot of strong feelings about that. Matt and Michael, I think y'all are both absolutely right that malinformation, disinformation, misinformation are all rampant online. This is absolutely true. And I think it's important to highlight that there are folks like Elizabeth Booker Houston. There are folks like me, right? Like there are those of us online who are deeply learned, who are researchers, who are moving in ways that are integrous, trying to bring information and news to where people are wanting to get their information and news from. I mean, the truth is, increasingly, people are turning to social media as a tool to learn about what's happening in the world in ways that are digestible and understandable. And so I think there's a really important marrying that needs to happen between traditional media and those of us in the social media space who are trying to bring some of that journalist training and research training to those who want their information but want it where they want it. And so we have to meet folks where they're at. I think that's really important.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. All right, folks. All right, folks. That is it for us. I got to go celebrate. So we're going to go ahead and end this show right now. I got stuff to do. We got our sports task force party tonight at the House of Blues. I'm looking to see all my peeps there. Again, let me thank everybody for watching today's show. Let me thank Raven. Let me thank Michael. Let me thank, man, I guess I'll thank Matt. Okay, fine. I'll go ahead and thank Matt. Let me thank them for being on the show. I appreciate it, folks. Great time here. Here's the deal. I got a guest host in on Monday. I am flying to L.A. on Sunday, playing the Seth the Entertainer golf tournament. Y'all know I'm going to come back with some great content, so I look forward to having that for you on Tuesday and Wednesday. But please support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars are critical. Our goal is simple: to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day to support this show and all the shows on the Black Star Network. We are trying to build this network. I want to have a morning news show. I want to have a midday show. I want to have more. I want to have a couple more primetime shows. And so we really want to make this a true, strong Black digital news network, because we need as much information as possible. You heard our panelists say there's massive misinformation, disinformation that's being targeted to us. And we want to see young folks, 18, 35, 36, 45, watching the show, because we have got to inform our people about what's going on, because we are facing the most serious threat to the future of Black America since Jim Crow. So your support is critical when you support us, folks. So please, Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. That Stripe QR code can also be used for credit card applications, checks and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send it to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo RM Unfiltered. Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear: How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available bookstores nationwide. YouTube folks, y'all hurry up and hit the doggone like button. Let's get to 1,500 before I leave. There's 1,100 right now. I just need 400 more before I get off. All right, folks, be sure to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com to get our swag, to get our shirts, hats, T-shirts, mugs, hoodies, all that good stuff. Again, go to Shop Black Star Network. No. Thank you. That's right. Here are our T-shirts. Get our hot shirt. Don't blame me. I voted for the Black woman. Get all of that stuff. ShopBlackStarNetwork.com. Now, for the other Black-owned products on that we have, go to ShopBlackStarNetwork.com. You can go check all of it out right now on the website. Don't forget our podcast, iHeartRadio Network. We're on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple, you name it, Amazon Music, all of those podcasts. And don't forget, support and download the app Fanbase. If you want to invest in the Fanbase, go to startengine.com/fanbase, startengine.com/fanbase. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll see y'all Monday right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!